G'day guys and welcome back for another video. In this video I'll be discussing my round 7 score and what I plan to be doing in round 8. There has been some pretty bad news in the last 2 days with Shai Bolton, who I traded in last week, so I have to consider my options of what I do with him. So if we look at our score from last week, we had a ripper of a week. We scored 2,356, which is in the top 1%, and it was actually 294th highest score for the week. I also jumped another 530 positions inside the top 500 and now ranked 418. If you remember 3 to 4 weeks ago, I was ranked around 3,000, so I've consistently improved on my ranking for the last few weeks, and that's due to getting most of the rookies right, but also the premiums starting to perform and a couple good trades. So let's look at our team and where we sit at the moment. So Stewart was okay again with 92, but the real winner in the backline here is Sam Doherty. He scored 132 points, he had 28 disposals, used it well by foot. He's been the real winner in my backline this year. Currently averaging close to 105, which is just behind Tom Stewart in my backline. I think he was only in less than 10% teams at the start of the year, so he's been a real winner, and his role looks to be improving every week as well. So he should punch out pretty high scores around the 90 to 110 mark for the remainder of the year. I don't think he's dipped below 85 yet, so he's been really consistent, which is good to see. Rory Laird was also good in the showdown with 125 Supercoach points. I think he was the highest for the Adelaide Crows. He's just plodding along nicely. Everyone has him, but he's a really gun player. Jordan Ridley struggled again a little bit. This is his second week in a row where he scored in the 80s after the concussion. I think I played top dollar for him because I traded from Lachie Neale to Ridley when he was around, must have been 580,000, so an extra 100,000 more. But that's alright, I still expect him to be a top 6 defender, if not top 3, somewhere around there. But the likes of Jake Lloyd and Callum Mills destroying it for Sydney, he may not finish in that top 3, but we'll see. Bowes was okay again with 93 Supercoach points. He hasn't set the world on fire since I traded him in 3 or 4 weeks ago. He's gone low 90s and won 110, but that's good enough for a top 6 defender in my mind, and he's currently averaging 104. I had Murphy on the field instead of Cozzy this week. Murphy finished with 52 points, but he only played 3 quarters, I believe. So that's another week with no cash generation from the backline. So Cozzy will come onto the field. Let's hope Highmore gets a game soon. Unlikely because Rats absolutely hates him. Even, St Kilda aren't travelling too well, but he still doesn't get a game. He has 30 odd touches in the VFL and still doesn't get a gig. So what more can you do? Not much. Anyway, Jack Macrae 106 and Guthrie 117. Guthrie was my vice captain and I was pretty hesitant on whether to take that score or not. I had the option of going Gawn against Sydney or Macrae against Carlton. I ended up taking Guthrie, which did, it was a win in the end. It's not a huge captain score, but it was probably a smart decision. I remember a few weeks back, I took Grundy as captain where he scored 92 against Nick Nat Nui at the MCG, and I bypassed, I can't remember who it was, but it was a 128 or something like that, and I ended up losing around 35 points. So if I get close to 120 for a captain score, I will take that now. Sam Walsh scored 89, which is his lowest for the year, still averaging 116 points. I didn't see the game, so I'm not sure if he was getting tagged or anything like that, but he had the 24 disposals and 5 tackles, but he should bounce back this week, and I'm pretty confident after what he's shown in the first 7 to 8 rounds this year that he should be a top 10 to 15 or top 10 to 12 midfielder by season's end. Clayton Oliver was dominant as usual with 125 Supercoach points, averaging 115, again for about the 4th year in a row. Super consistent, contested ball winner, just an absolute machine in the middle. Really good work rate, which allows him to find plenty of the ball around the ground. So I never worry about his score at all. I always trust him and always know he's going to come out with 110 plus every week. Merritt had a pretty big last quarter on the weekend, finishing with 131 Supercoach points. He's now averaging 112. He's been pretty consistent as well. He's been punching out lots of low hundreds, but nevertheless he's getting close to that 110 mark, and it's games like this where he scores 131 or if he goes 140, which will elevate his average more. So there should be more of them to come throughout the year. Mitchell finally scored a decent score. 147 Supercoach points off 41 disposals. He looked hungry. He wanted the ball. He found the ball as usual. But he's finally didn't post those 2 low 90s in the last 3 weeks. And it's really good for him to show us that he can get back to that large scoring. He's now only 525,000. I paid over 600 for him at the start of the year, but that's fine. He should be a trade-in target for most of you out there, I believe, at that price point. He should average 110, somewhere around there. So look at trading in him if you have the coin. Tom Powell was pretty consistent again, 73 Supercoach points, being one of the best rookies, if not the best rookie. 381,000, still going to go up in price. Getting lots of midfield minutes at North Melbourne. He's one of my favourite players to watch this year. He's got elite hands, great vision, and he's got pretty good skill execution as well. So if you can, I'd advise you to hold on to Powell for a little bit longer, maybe to the buys, and trade out some other crappy rookies such as Rowe or Brockman or Chad Warner or someone like that before you get rid of Powell. James Jordan, 85 Supercoach points. The last 3 or 4 weeks, I think he's been averaging somewhere around 80. He's posted a couple of 90s and a couple of 85s. So he got the Rising Star nomination this week, which good on him. He's been really good. So ever since he popped out that low 30 score 4 or 5 weeks ago, I've held on to him and he's rewarded us owners. He's now 326,000 and we should be looking to upgrade him towards the buy. If not, we can probably hold on to him if we can't afford a decent upgrade. And we look to our bench, we have McNeil and Berry and Finlay McRae. So Berry, 45, he had more tackles than disposals again. He'll still get he'll still get lots of games. He's got good pressure around the contests, and the Crows and Knicks like that. McNeil had his best game of the year, and God did we need it. He scored 81 Supercoach points, and his cash generation should start flowing now. So he should get to above 250, hopefully, if he doesn't pop out another 30 or something like that. But he looked pretty good. And McRae didn't play after 2 poor weeks, but he should return to the senior side pretty soon. He had 32 disposals in the VFL and was the leading disposal getter for the Magpies, along with Trent Bianco. I think he had around 30 as well. Excuse me. If we go to our rucks, we got Grundy and Max Gawn, 128 and 112. Grundy was pretty good. I thought he was going to score 150 at one point, but he slowed down a little bit. And Gawn was alright, bounced back after his 66 against Goldstein in Hobart last week and scored 112. Flynn here on the bench didn't play as Mumford played again. Let's hope he gets a couple of weeks in before the bye. If not, we'll just downgrade him to a cheapest option we can get, I suppose, but he's the least of our worries at the moment. If we move to the forward line, we've got Jack Siebel with 111 again. The King Seagull at the back line. Just getting all the cheap kicks, taking a few good intercept marks. He did hurt his shoulder, I believe, early in the 4th term, which did hinder his score. He was on track for about 125 plus, so didn't quite get there in the end, but very good score nonetheless. And now he's currently $600,000. Who would have thought at the start of this year, when he was 260,000, that he would end up being the highest Supercoach average in round 8 and at 600,000. Unbelievable. Shai Bolton, I traded in last week for... I'm not sure who it was. I cannot remember. Anyway, I picked him over Zorko, and as we found out a couple of days ago, he was involved in an incident at a nightclub, and he does have a fractured wrist. Should be out for 3 to 4 weeks. I'm pretty sure they have the bye in 3 or 4 weeks, so he won't be back till after the bye. So I think we need to trade him, and I think I'm looking at Zorko for consistency over Marshall, just because Marshall's not the number 1 ruck there at St Kilda at the moment, behind Ryder, and he is $50,000 or $40,000 more than Zorko. So I think I'll take Zorko for consistency for now, and I'll look to upgrade to Marshall later in the year. Dustin Martin's also an option too, who will be around $400,000 after this week with another high break even. But if he punches out another below 70 score, he kick him to the side. I'm not keen on him, never have been, but we'll see. At that price point, he might be worth picking up. Jar Zimpy was brilliant for the Hawks, 116 Supercoach points. Still playing that halfback role, looking amazing. run and carry, using the well by foot. And he's taken a few strong marks as well. So he'll be a top 6 forward by the end of the year, no doubt about that. Chad Warner with 61. He looks to be time to cull now, I think. He's just went down in value, 330,000. We should be looking to upgrade him. And that's when I'll be looking to upgrade to Martin or possibly maybe still Sidebottom next week. We'll see, and see how much money I have as well, as I only have 41,000 at the moment. Anthony Scott scored 85 Supercoach points with his highest score of the year. So him and McNeil finally punched out a big score, which will increase their cash generation, and Scott should get to around $300,000. Even though he's only averaging 55 points. So that's good news, and we should look forward to upgrading him around the buy time as well. Waterman was my loop and didn't play. Played in the 2s again. I think he got injured. I'm not too sure, but I got Bergwins 67 instead, who looks to have his spot pretty cemented in the Port side for now. So he's playing some pretty good footy. And Beau McCreary scored 33 points. Had a pretty poor game. Didn't kick a goal. Didn't find much of the appeal, but Bucks likes the pressure around the forward 50, and the Pies need that, so he should maintain his spot. And as for trades for this week, it would be Berry down to Caleb Poulter from the Pies, and it'll be Bolton to Dane Zorko for now. We'll wait for teams to be released on Thursday and Friday, and then we'll make a final decision. But that's for the plan for the moment. Team's looking good. The premiums are pretty elite, I think. So I've got Stewart, Ridley, Doherty, Laird and Bowes. I think they're pretty solid top 10 defenders. So that's 5 out of 6 in the back line. I've got both of the top 2 rucks. So that's 2 for 2. And then I've got McRae, Guthrie, Walsh, Oliver, Merritt, who I believe 5 of them will be top 10 midfielders. And I think Mitchell should slowly reach that top 10 potential. So I already have 6 out of the 8 top 10 midfielders in my opinion. So that's why my rank has started to increase a bit. I think I've got the right premiums in, and the rookies are going at the right time. As you can see, I don't have James Rowe anymore. I traded him last week. Oh, that's who I traded for, Shia Bolton. But he did punch out an 81, so his cash generation will start increasing again. But I'm glad to get him off the field because he'll probably score 30 this week, and I don't want that. And the forward line is probably the biggest issue, but Zeeble, I thought I was safe with Zeeble, Bolton and Ippy were 3 of the top 6 forwards. Now Bolton's got to go, replace Zorko. I've still got 3 of the top 6. And then it's just working these bottom line guys to get, maybe Marshall, Zorko, Sidebottom, and Butters maybe when he gets back. But the forward line's averages are pretty poor. So I'm not too worried about them. As long as I got the other 3 lines correct, I can get by with rookies on the field for now in the forward line. So that's pretty much about it. Thanks very much again for watching. Let us know in the comments what trades you are doing this week, where you're ranked, and if you've had any problems with injuries or if you have struggled with cash generation. I know a lot of people are struggling with cash generation on their bench with non-playing players. I'm pretty lucky as I've got most of mine are playing, but if you're struggling for cash generation, that should be your number 1 priority, just so you can get playing players on the field, especially when you get to buys, because you'll need as many players playing as possible. Alright, we'll see you in the next video, guys. Cheers.